So you focus heavily on real estate investment in both the US and UAE with your co-founder. What unique challenges and opportunities do these regions present for tokenization?
Oh, well, there are two different ways of doing things. Like the UAE is way ahead of the US
Right.
in terms of tokenization. They've made everything legal, and
Mm,
they spell out here's what you must do. The US hasn't done that. You still operate on exemptions essentially from 1946. And so far, nobody's gone after any tokenization companies, primarily because there's so many bad crypto companies that they got to go after first. And tokenization, at least all of us are following the law or trying to follow the law. You know what the law is, it's up for interpretation as far as I'm concerned. But because we're trying to and we're making concerted efforts to do it, um, not a single tokenization company that I'm aware of has gotten a Wells notice or any issue like that. So
mm.
um, yeah, I mean, what was the rest of the question?
Yeah, so what sort of challenges and opportunities, do you see, these regions present for tokenization?
Well, the challenges are mainly regulatory. Like, what's the SEC going to try to do next? And so far, nothing, because again, everyone's following the law. The
Mm,
opportunities are, my Lord, you now have access to a global investor base or a global lending base. You don't have to take in equity. You could put out a debt token,
yeah.
or you could just go straight to the DeFi markets,
Mm,
collateralize your building with tokens, and go to the DeFi market and say, here's everything, because everything's within a token. It's in a smart contract. Everything about the property is within that token.
mm,
I want to borrow up to 70% LTV on this, which is, the value of the property.
mm,
And there's quite a few lenders that'll do that because they know they got a very secured interest in a real piece of property
mm.
somewhere in the world. And if we stand behind it, because we have a third party go in and make sure that this property is real, the value's there, there's like multiple checks.
Mm,
But our first commitment is to our investors.
okay.
So yeah, that's those are some of the opportunities. And if we had more time, I could spell out more.
Yeah. No, that's fine. No, this is kind of yeah, just a bit of a initial insight on it. So how does smart blocks ensure compliance and security when tokenizing large assets, and that these assets and investors are protected throughout? What should businesses be aware of in this space?
Which should VCs be or just investors?
Um, Investors.
Yeah. Okay. So investors should be aware, just like they would be aware in any traditional investment.
Mm,
It's not buyer beware necessarily because we are also doing our due diligence for you. But like any investment, there's a level of risk and unpredictability, and it might have nothing to do with the owner of the property or the developer of the property. It might just be a market risk. For example, if a country gets invaded, I'm using extremes here,
mm,
but
yeah,
these markets have fluctuations,
mm,
so nothing's guaranteed. But what I've seen is that real estate has outperformed the S&P 500 over the last 50 years, something like that.
yeah,
So over time, real estate has been a better investment. And you get cash flow for most of these properties along the way. So you're getting paid and you get the appreciation. And the appreciation itself, just that alone, is greater than the S&P 500 most of the time.
mm.
So a basket of real estate projects from around the world is probably a safe bet, especially on our platform because we're doing the due diligence for you.
Wow, okay, I see.